by the time of this lesson, everything will be sorted. Okay, so one Mugisha is already putting up the hand. Yes, Mugisha.
Sir.
Good afternoon.
For me, I still have a challenge on how to add item two.
On how to do what?
Last time I was up. I
You
have a challenge on how to add item two.
Item 2, eh? We are going
So
to
I
handle
don't know.
that. Thank you.
I don't know if there are others who also have challenge. If
It's
you
okay.
can help back just a little time,
It's okay.
just
Your hand is still up. Okay, so item 2, like he has said, that one will be able to be handled. We shall handle that. That is not an issue to worry about now. But like I told you, we are going to first of all clear the air on what we're supposed to do last lesson. Okay, we have to first see clear the air on what we're supposed to do last time. I'm giving you general guidance in paper 1, and I'm also hoping that paper 2 or 3, because you have 2 practical papers depending on the number of students in a given center, register for either paper 2 or 3, your school, but all of them are tested in the same format. So we shall get time and also go through that and see. Okay, so teacher help with oxidation and some practical paper too. Yeah, that one is okay. Oxidation, that one, that's a senior 4 chapter. We shall handle that. Teacher, what are you planning to teach? This one I think has just come. Okay, now let us get back to our work. Okay. Members who are putting up the hand, I think can have your issues sorted later. Kindly first hold on. We shall handle everything today. Don't worry. Let's get back to our work. Members, are you able to see the PowerPoints on your screen? Are you able to see it, to see the work clearly? Someone raising up Shiba. Yes, Shiba?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Master, your voice is too low.
Okay, my voice is too low. I was trying to balance. You know, the room I was, there were some teachers. I hope now I'm clear. Are you now able to get me clearly?
No.
Maybe if you try to, maybe are you using a phone or a laptop?
Laptop.
You try to adjust your volume on your laptop, because at least I hope that at this point my voice is a little clear. But are you able to see what is on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so let you try follow me on the screen, okay?
Okay.
Let me get out. Let me find out from other members. Umpire Alan. Yes, Alan. Any challenge? Yes, Alan.
Excuse me, sir. I'm not deciding you properly, sir.
The volume.
I'm not deciding you properly.
You're not getting me clearly. Why? Is it volume? Eh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me try to.
Yes. I
Excuse
think
me,
it,
sir.
it is the volume.
Yes? The what? Okay. Now,
Excuse me, sir.
this is Josh. Yes, Josh.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you will be clear, but your voice is breaking. It's like an issue with your network.
Okay. Let me correct that. Am I now clear? Josh, are you able
Not
to
really.
get me now?
Not really.
Yes?
Not very clear.
Okay. Thank you. And now let's continue with our work. Okay, so this first slide is exactly what we discussed the previous lesson. I'll not waste a lot of time on that. Therefore, we are going to go to the next slide. And on our next slide, this one just talks about the paper. On our next slide, we have the competency, which I still discussed with you last time, and even the areas of assessment. Members, this is very, very important. And I believe that you must take note of this, because the questions we are going to discuss may not cover everything here, but they give a general answering technique on how you can attempt everything which comes from this area. Therefore, I hope that if you are able to understand how all the chapters, all the areas of emphasis from this part, then you can, in your free time, be able to use the same format to answer. Like here we talked about manufacture of oxygen, chlorine, but you may see that in the example that we've used in our item, we've not discussed oxygen. But after this lesson, you go back yourself and follow the same format and try to attempt questions on this. Maybe you can follow me on WhatsApp and share with me what you've done. I'll share with you my WhatsApp number possibly. Then manufacture of chlorine, this one's the same thing. Extraction of metals, I told you emphasis is made on copper, iron, and aluminium. Yeah, like I told, this part of chemistry was basing on industrial processes that occur in an industry. We're looking at industrial processes. So that's why not everything under extraction of metals is being talked here. We look at those ones which take place in an industry. That's because from the element of construct here, they say the learner appreciates the contribution of chemistry to our economy. So that's where we are. We are looking at the economy, and the economy covers, it's a broad thing. We can't just look at something which you do in your lab and you think that's an industrial process. No. So we also have manufacture of fertilizers, where I say that here we emphasize only and only nitrate fertilizers. That's what UNEP is looking at. So when you check the syllabus, they even highlighted that part of only and only nitrate fertilizers. So if you go beyond the nitrate, then you'll be just reading for your own understanding, but not for your NEBU assessment. Manufacture of detergents, sodium hydroxide, sulfuric acid, and so on and so forth. So allow me to go to the next slide. Okay. how to attempt this one. We discussed it last time, but I'm going to go broadly into it when we start the discussion, when we start talking about a given item. Let us see, go to the next slide, which has the sample item. Now, from this item, members who attended last time, you were able to see that this item, if you check very well, I used the one which was assessed by most, even some of you in your schools, you've done items of this nature. But I picked it from a paper I set for my candidates here in Imbalances because I'm teaching Imbalances, by the way. So this is the question they did. I felt you could share it together. And last time when someone read this question, there was a misinterpretation. And on the same note, I'm going to request one member to put up their hand and read for us again this question so that we know we flow very well. The way we are going to answer it, we flow together. Already, people have put up their hand. Techno, thank you for being very active. Yes, Techno. Yes, Techno, can you read the question? Yes, Miss Monica, Monique Shina.
Yes, teacher.
Can you be audible enough?
Yeah. Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon to you.
Can I start from the item?
Yeah, you read this item. Starting from here.
Okay. Lekate in Western Uganda has deposits of materials that can industrially be converted to a product used for making detergents.
Yes.
Fat plus sodium hydroxide gives us soap and glycerol. Soap is on high demand, but the local communities lack sufficient knowledge on how to produce the alcohol for soap manufacturers and ask to be sensitized. Task: using your knowledge of chemistry, make a write-up of how the product can be manufactured, including the impact and benefits of the manufacturing process.
Yeah, thank you so much, Monique. Now, let me start with you, Monique. When you read this item, like what comes in your mind? What is needed by the examiner here?
Manufacture of sodium hydroxide.
That is true. Thank you so much. That's a very good idea. Now, I was last time when we were dealing with this question, many people misinterpreted it because we say Lake Kato in Western Uganda has deposits of materials that can industrially, meaning that this process occurs in an industry, be converted to a product used for making it detergents. Now, what they've given us here is a support material. I told you a support can be in form of an equation. So this equation given here is actually our support material. Fat plus sodium hydroxide gives us soap plus glycerol. Soap is on high demand, but the local communities lack sufficient knowledge of how to produce the alkali for soap manufacturers and asked to be sensitized. Now, using your knowledge of chemistry, make a write-up of how the product can be manufactured, including the impact and benefits of the manufacturing process. This is very, very important. Impact and benefits. They have given you some two bases of assessment here. Basis of assessment simply means what a learner is supposed to, what a learner is expected of. Yes, Monique, your hand is up. Yes. Yes. Shina, Monique, your hand is up. Can you say something?
Teacher, sorry, it was by mistake.
It's fine. So I was saying that when you go to an exam next week, you're starting school on Monday. When you go to school and you're given any exam paper or in your discussion there at school, I want to encourage you to be so much involved in participations in school. Make sure you participate. If there is a discussion group, make sure you participate. This is how you're going to learn how to interpret scenarios. Lake Katwe in Western Uganda has deposits of materials that can industrially. For you know that in Lake Katwe we have sodium chloride, and they are saying there that product can be converted to a product used for making detergents, and that product is actually sodium hydroxide. And here they are saying soap is on high demand, but local communities lack a sufficient knowledge of how to produce the alkali. You must take screenshots of this work so that you know that this item was a little bit confusing. So the problem in this item was to identify to produce the alkali. So when you're attempting it, you must give ideas on how an alkali is being produced. When you're answering that item, I told last time that what we require of you, one is you to know the raw materials, the major raw materials that you're going to use to manufacture sodium hydroxide, and then also which process is going to be involved there chemically. We need you to know the chemical process. And then in your description, you also need to tell us the vessel through which the reaction is going to occur, the vessel, chemical process. Talk something which involves a chemical process, a chemical change in that reaction. Then you must convert the raw material to the desired product. Show clearly how your raw materials are being converted to the desired product. We want to see that. We want to see how you purify the product you have got. Is your product pure? I talked about those things in the previous slide. Talk about purification. P. That code just shows has the learner really produced a pure product, or the learner is just manufacturing something and leaves it with impurities. So if you leave it with impurities, then you lose certain marks. If you don't give us the vessel, then you lose certain marks. If you don't mention any chemical process involved, you lose certain scores. If you don't convert the raw materials to the desired product, then you lose certain scores. Then also the coherence, logical flow of your work. Are you moving from step one to the next? There are some of you who will start by writing the last thing before they come back to the first step. Then it means that your work is not coherently flowing. You're missing certain things, so you're not going to get the scores. Okay? So I want, since we discussed some of this work last time, though we were in a hurry, some members who attended must be able to give us their responses to this item. So may I have, by show of hands, any member who can give us the raw materials for manufacturing of sodium hydroxide? Josh is already the hand. We have here Zanita. Okay. Yes, Zanita.
There is concentrated sodium chloride solution.
Concentrated, very good. That means you understood what we talked about. The word concentrated is a must here. It's part of this game. A learner at O level must know that the brine used in this process is concentrated sodium chloride. So members must be able to put that down. So instead of writing concentrated sodium chloride, which other word can a learner use? What's the other name to mean concentrated sodium chloride solution? Because another person may see that as having too many words. Okay, Mugisha is on already. Yes, Mugisha.
Yes, another word is brine, which is the ore.
Very good. Now, brine and concentrated sodium chloride means the same thing. So if you mention brine, don't again mention concentrated sodium chloride. It means you lack the idea. You don't understand that concept well. So thank you so much for that participation. Apart from, can you add us one raw material apart from brine? Mugisha, hey, you already okay? Let me select mariachi Peter. Yes, Peter. What's the other raw material? Major raw material?
Water.
Yes, very good. That's very good. We have water. Thank you. Then another person to give us another raw material. Techno is on, has over put up the hand. Yes, Techno. The other raw material?
Mercury.
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 Very good. Perfect. That is true. So we have brine, that is concentrated sodium chloride solution. We have water, and then we have mercury. Those are the three major raw materials needed for the manufacture of sodium hydroxide. This is good, and it shows me that really senior 4 exam this year is going to be bounced, it's going to be passed. Now, we are going to the most important part in item scoring. Of course, for you as a student, you may not need to know anything more about scoring, but you must know those parts which are new scores when you're answering. Where are the scores going when we are answering? When we go to the process of production, that's the second basis of assessment. That is what shows that a learner knows chemistry. And if you cannot bring out the process following the 5 steps I gave you, first, chemical process, conversion to desired product, coherency, and then purification of the product you have got, then it means that you did not understand the concept well in class. So whenever you're going to answer, to attempt a question, and you reach that part of presenting the process of production, make sure you have a lot of content. You must have read enough about that part. Let us first share that process of production, maybe before I show you what I wrote in the scoring guide. And already I'm seeing Monique, your hand is still up. Can you tell us something?
Teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like confused because I'm seeing like we are here talking about that one, but I'm seeing it's like the same as the manufacture of chlorine. The raw materials are the same.
Thank you so much, Monique. Okay. Now,
Yes, teacher.
when we come to manufacture of chlorine and manufacture of sodium hydroxide, the raw materials are the same. Okay. Is that okay? The raw materials are the same, and also the process of production will be the same, but what will differentiate the two is the reactions at independent electrodes. One of them, the product which we need, is at the anode, and the other, the product which we need, is at the cathode. Like in sodium hydroxide preparation, you're going to see that we are going to concentrate more on the cathode, and I'm going to explain more on that. I hope you have been answered, but that is very true. Chlorine and sodium hydroxide have the same raw materials in their production, but what differs is the reactions which take place at the cathode and the anode during electrolysis. So I'm going to show you that, don't worry. Okay, that is one person. Then maybe let me hear from Niwabine Emmanuel. Your names are hard to pronounce. Maybe if you had put schools. Okay, Emma, can you tell us what you want to say?
Start extracting like the process for production.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. For me, the first part I can say sodium hydroxide and chlorine are manufactured by the electrolysis.
Sodium
As how
hydroxide
you
and chlorine are manufactured by electrolysis. That's your first
yes,
one.
yes.
I've got
Then
you, Emma. Maybe allow
yeah,
me comment on that.
to do what?
Allow me comment on that.
Yes.
Now, when we are talking about the question, the item you read, wanted you
Yeah.
to manufacture what? Sodium what? Hydroxide.
Hydroxide.
Now, why do
No,
you
I
talk
didn't.
about chlorine in this case? Is it needed?
No.
No,
So
it
when
was
we are
an
teaching
error.
class, we give you
Yeah.
these two currently because those are notes. But when we are now responding to items, you go to what the item wants. Is that okay? The item was clear. The problem, the scenario was manufacture of sodium hydroxide. Therefore, when you answering, just tell us that sodium hydroxide is manufactured by
That's it.
electrolysis
Electrolysis.
or brine.
Wrong.
Is that okay?
Yes.
So we can now leave you. Maybe I'll let someone else take the hand. Marriage. Yes, marriage. Yes, marriage.
Teacher
Yes.
recording.
Okay, this one is not. Maybe this we can continue. Okay. There is Arisha here. Well,
Excuse me, teacher.
yes, please.
So they are also on
Tell me your
sodium
name first.
hydroxide. Do we need to use this one, the cathode cell?
That is now we are going to bring in the vessel. I was saying that the process of production, you must tell us the vessel. The vessel is what we use. So it's going to come in. You're going to tell us about the mercury cathode cell because that's the vessel. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So its diagram is not important. A learner at O level should actually forget about diagrams. Diagrams are given in class for you to understand the concept, but when you are scoring, they are less important. We want you to tell, because if a learner can write, then there is no need to draw. They mean the same thing. Are we together?
Yes, teacher.
That's why that paper is given only 2 hours. If you are going to spend much time doing what's not required, then you will not finish the paper in time. And you will complain that the paper was given little time, but the person who said knows what is needed. That's why it is only having 2 hours. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so maybe as a point of emphasis, maybe let's give Debbie also a chance to ask question, and we go to the next thing. Yes, Debbie. Yes, Debbie. Oh, sorry. Yes, Debbie, you're on now. Can you talk, please? Hello? Okay. So I was saying that the point of emphasis is on you must also make sure that the raw materials you mentioned in the first basis of assessment are captured in the second basis of assessment during the process of production. If you told us about sodium hydroxide as a raw material, I mean sodium chloride as a raw material or brine, then when you're describing the process, tell us how you use that brine to obtain the product that we want. Like the first member told us that sodium hydroxide is manufactured by electrolysis of brine in a mercury cathode cell. See that? Brine was our raw material. So we shall score brine and give you a score there. Then when we go to electrolysis, that's a chemical process. So the learner is talking about a chemical process, qualifies for a certain score, if depending on how examiners want it to be. Then we also talk about in a mercury cathode cell. Then you are telling us where this reaction is going to take place from. So it means you have already told us the vessel. Okay. Let's go to the next step. So the first step, we have all agreed that sodium hydroxide is manufactured by electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride solution in a mercury cathode cell. That one we have finished that one. So what's the next thing? After writing that, what do we go to? Yes, come on, techno. You've used techno, come on. Can you tell us the next? What comes next after that?
Teacher, what comes next is sodium and hydrogen ions move to the cathode, and sodium ions are discharged due to the high concentration.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, when we were starting, I remember telling you, someone was asking that why is it that the raw materials for manufacturing chlorine are again the same raw materials which are coming in for manufacturing sodium hydroxide? Now, the difference comes in, this is what differentiates a learner who knows chemistry from a learner who is attending the subject in class. Because all of you will know that we use sodium chloride, which is concentrated. You know that we need water, and that we take the process takes place in the mercury cathode cell. But what happens in that mercury cathode cell is the electrolysis. Now, Techno, may you kindly tell us, before these sodium ions are deposited, tell us about the ions, because sodium chloride will first of all ionize in solution, because you know in a solution we have ions, we don't have the metal, or we don't have a solid. This is electrolysis, so we deal with ions, movement of ions. So tell us the presence of those ions in solution. What happens to sodium chloride in solution? And what makes that sodium chloride to be in solution is because of the presence of water. Now tell us what happens to water. So tell us, the second step, tell us that maybe sodium chloride ionizes in solution to give us sodium ions and chloride ions. You write for us an equation. Tell us that water also ionizes in solution to give us hydrogen ions and hydroxide ions. Now that one will give us a thinking that, yeah, in this solution, we have both positive and negative ions. And the positive ions, like you've seen when you write the equation for ionization of sodium chloride, like I'm going to show on your screen, it gives us sodium ions which are positive and the chloride ions which are negatively charged. Then water will give us hydrogen ions which are positive and hydroxide ions which are negatively charged. Now, at the end of the day, you have sodium ions, chloride ions, hydrogen ions, and hydroxide ions in the same solution. So what causes the difference in movement to independent electrodes now is the difference in charges, where positive ions are going to move to the negative electrode, which is now your cathode, that you are saying that sodium ions and hydrogen ions will move at the cathode. That is very true. But why? A learner should know that they move there because they are positively charged and the cathode is negatively charged. So opposite charges will attract themselves. And then the chloride ions and hydroxide ions will move to the anode. The reason is simple. Because the anode is positively charged, therefore it will attract those negatively charged ions. Before we now go to which one is deposited, but now for us, since we don't want chlorine gas to be manufactured, We don't need to talk about chloride ions. If the question wanted chlorine, then we would go direct to the anode and talk about chloride ions and hydroxide ions. Then we talk which will be discharged. But since we want sodium hydroxide, a runner just ends at reaction at the cathode, because that is where you're going to get sodium in the molten state. I hope the chemistry there is very clear. You must have noted down something. Yes, Mugisha.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, Mugisha.
I appreciate that explanation, but I have something to ask you. Before these ions migrate to their opposite anodes.
To the electrodes.
Yes. Before that reaction, do we say that?
Can you try to be audible, because I'm now not getting you?
Yes, before saying that this one is discharges to this, do we say that water is mixed with brine or?
Aha, Mugisha, what makes a solution, what makes a salt to be in solution is because you made it using water. When you get salt at home, in your home there, and you want to put it in sauce, the salt is going to dissolve in sauce because that sauce contains water. It is water which is going to dissolve that salt. But even if it dissolves, it remains salt. So the solution formed becomes a salty solution. Are we together? So you don't need to tell us that it has water. Already when we tell us that concentrated sodium chloride solution, my mind already knows that, okay, this is a solution of water because it was made using water. A solution contains water. We have a solute and a solvent. Our solvent here is going to be water because it is what dissolves the sodium chloride. So just tell us that the sodium chloride solution ionizes. The sodium chloride ionizes in solution to form sodium ions and chloride ions. I hope you are answered. I hope you answered in that case.
Yes, sir. Thank
So let
you.
me take you to the slide which is having those equations, because I know most of you students of CBC, your challenge is writing chemical equations. I hope that is addressed when you get back to term 2, because you like it or not, you may need to present for us some equations. And for us, we are waiting for you next year in senior 5. When you join us in senior 5, we shall want you to write some equations. So be ready to present for us certain equations. I know most of you can describe this process, but when it comes to writing an equation, it becomes a challenge. Let me hope for you who are here, it is not a challenge. So this is how we brought out the raw materials. Oh. When you check here, under my expected responses, the raw materials are provided here. Let me get a pen. I'll be marking this as you able to see. Okay, I've picked my pen. Concentrated, if you are using this, you must include the word concentrated. Sodium chloride solution. This word solution is what brings in the water. So we're saying that now for us in new curriculum, all of us are passing what? But there is also difference in the passing. How are you passing matters. For you, it's just writing sodium chloride. You cannot be the same as a person who is giving us a concentrated sodium chloride solution. This learner is obviously better because he understands and because he knows that this solution is going to be used somewhere. When you reach electrolysis at the cathode, something is going to be deposited because it is highly concentrated. Then we have mercury here, and then we have water. We have mercury and water. Okay, so all those are part of our raw materials. Process of production. When we reach the process of production, we discussed it here by saying chlorine is now you see this one. I put it here with the reason of making you know that we don't write chlorine when we are going to use. We talked about this thing. We don't write chlorine when we are talking about sodium hydroxide. So this part here, this one here, like the basis can be used to answer the two questions. If the question wanted chlorine, then the learner would say chlorine is manufactured by electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride solution using graphite anode and mercury cathode in a mercury cathode cell. But since we want sodium hydroxide, then here a learner was only supposed to write here for us, here that sodium hydroxide is manufactured by electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride solution using graphite anode and mercury cathode in a mercury cathode cell. Now, if a learner does not include this using graphite anode and mercury cathode, but a learner said electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride solution in a mercury cathode cell, that learner is okay. It's very okay, because any chemist who is marking or scoring your paper knows that concentrated sodium chloride solution during its electrolysis, what is used as the anode here is actually graphite, because of its being inert, and mercury as a cathode. So I believe that is noted. Okay, so this was not right, saying chlorine. This was not right, and it's a point of emphasis. So you write chlorine when a question is talking about sodium hydroxide. You just know where you're going to be during the scoring. Now, the most important thing here is this guy here. This guy here. I want you to take note of this guy here. During electrolysis, what happens? Sodium chloride ionizes as below. A learner presents for us some simple equation, at least because you have learned some basic equations. Before molar concept, you've learned some basic equations. You've seen that sodium chloride is in the molten state because electrolysis does not involve solids. We use the substances in their molten state. So this one we shall not put here solid. We shall put a liquid. If a learner puts aqueous, a learner is correct, because still, when it is in aqueous form, it is able to give us these ions. And when it breaks up like this, it gives us the sodium ions positively charged and the chloride ions negatively charged, like I've showed you here. This is how you write your equation. A two-lettered symbol, the first letter is capital, the second letter is small. Capital C, small l. The charge is a superscript. On the top right of where your symbol ends, that's where you write the charge. Make sure you write for us the state. The state. This is in aqueous form because these are ions in solution. Water also ionizes as below. Yes, water will give us hydrogen ions and OH ions. Now there's something missing here on equation of water. Can someone put up the hand and tell us what is missing on the equation of water? This equation here. There's something which is not there. Is this equation balanced? Can someone tell us by putting up the hand? And if it's not balanced, what we're supposed to put where? This is now the real chemistry. Is this equation balanced? And if it's not balanced, how would we balance it? Okay. When we reach equations, things become hot. You make things hot yourselves. These are just basic. You cannot answer a question on electrolysis without writing at least any equation. No, we shall not just allow that description without, okay, you'll get some scores, but you'll be different from someone who presents at least an equation. Okay, so when I pick my pen here, come here, this one here is supposed to be twice. The hydrogen ions are supposed to be two of them, because here we have two hydrogen ions in water. So even when it ionizes, it will give us two of them, so that this equation is balanced. But remember, the learners should know that if you put here two, then you're going to double the molecules of water. I wanted someone to notice this, but you've all shied away, because I know your problem is here. But let's look at this equation. We have two hydrogen atoms in water molecule. This is one of them, plus this one gives us two of them. So hydrogen is balancing. Eh? Let's look at oxygen. One of them is this way on the left-hand side. This way we have one oxygen atom. So actually the equation is balanced. I've not seen this other hydrogen atom. So this hydrogen plus this one gives us two, and this oxygen atom also balances with this oxygen atom on the left. Now the charges, we have a positive charge on this hydrogen, which cancels with this negative charge. So at the end of the day, the solution is balanced with those ions. Now, in solution, what we have sodium ions, chloride ions, hydrogen ions, and OH ions. So in simple terms, we have positive ions here, and then we also have negative ions. So positive ions and negative ions are present in this solution. Now, these are going to migrate to independent electrodes depending on their charges. The anode is positively charged. It attracts negative ions. But negative ions, we have chloride ions, which we don't need. The question does not want chlorine. We want sodium ions, meaning we shall look at the cathode, which is negatively charged. Therefore, will attract these positively charged ions. So when we move to the next slide, we are going to see that sodium ions and hydrogen ions migrate there. Now where? There was a word which was supposed to be here. This is I've moved in front. Okay, let's get back slowly. Okay. Taken in front. Okay. I was saying that when we are here, we were looking at sodium ions and hydrogen ions. Sodium ions and hydrogen ions. This is a reaction which occurs at the cathode. Migrate there. So here, we expect a student to put the word cathode here under annotation. Let's come and show you. This one here. You're supposed to write here if that cathode, migrate to the cathode. So right here the word cathode. Cathode T H like this, or then have D and E. Yeah, like that. Sodium ions and hydrogen ions migrate to the cathode. If you don't want to use this, then you would come here before writing this statement, then you say at the cathode, at, okay, this one's supposed to be this one here. At cathode. When you write that, then there is no need of you again repeating the word cathode here. I think you've been told that. in your classes by your teachers in your schools. That if you mention it, then no need to repeat it here. This word here, which I'm rubbing, this one. Rubbing. Now, at the cathode, then you come and just say sodium ions and hydrogen ions migrate there, where sodium ions are preferentially discharged in the molten form due to their high concentration. So you write this equation. Molten form means that sodium which is going to be formed is going to be in the liquid state. This one which I'm circling here. Sodium ions plus an electron from sodium, in brackets we put L to mean liquid. So that is in the molten state of sodium. As simple as that, and you'll be able to get your scores that part. Then we continue. Before we continue, can remove this. Okay, the sodium ion Z, or the sodium, it is now sodium molten. So it is the sodium formed combines with mercury. Now mercury here is what we mentioned in our raw materials. This one, which I'm circling, is what now we are using as part of our raw materials. So it is now going to combine with sodium, which was in the molten state, to form sodium amalgam. This is a complex which challenges learners to write, but just master it that it is sodium amalgam, which dissolves in water to form sodium hydroxide solution, hydrogen gas, and regenerating mercury. So this equation here, the first one shows the combination of sodium and the mercury to form sodium amalgam. Then the sodium hydroxide solution formed is heated. I think now, this is what we call purification process. We are purifying before. So you are free to either start with this equation. You either start with this equation before you come to this statement, or you do the reverse, no problem. N is okay. So the sodium hydroxide formed is heated to saturation, meaning we remove all of the impurities to form sodium hydroxide pellets that are packed for storage and wait for further use. And that will be the end of the process of production. If in case of any question, please, you can put up the hand and we solve that. However, what I've written there is what you're supposed to present. Josh is raising up the hand. Yes. Okay, let me first move this down. Yes, Josh. Yes, Josh.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me,
Yes.
sir. Is it okay for us to write word equation?
Very, very perfect and very, very good question. And that's the question I expect from a serious learner. It is very, very okay for you to write a word equation at O level. But when you come again to A level, the song will be different. But for O level, it is very okay. You can master those equations since they are hard to balance. Write them in words. You'll get the scores. I think you answered, Josh. Thank you. Thank you for clearing many others who had the same issue. Okay? Yes, Prince Matthew. Matthew?
So, hello?
Yes, Matthew?
My question is,
Mm.
someone writes the equations in words,
Right. Can you increase on your volume?
What I'm trying to say,
Yes, please.
if someone writes the word equation, is it possible for them to write the equations in formulas, or you can leave them and only go with the word equations?
Okay, it is very okay to write a word equation. I've just answered that. Is it okay?
And anyways, Mbozi,
At
like
all
the
level, you
equation,
can, at all level, at your level in senior 4, your neighbor has allowed you to present word equations. It is okay. And word equations
okay,
are simple because there is no need to balance them, okay?
okay.
Yeah, thank you. I hope that is now clear. Okay. Any other issue? This is Arisha. Can you say something before we go and summarize the next basis? Arisha?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Sir, can I use a downy cell as a vessel plant?
Okay, so in this case, I would request you to use the mercury cathode cell, okay? Why? Because when
Thank you.
when a question comes inside, when I told this question can come because chlorine, manufacture of chlorine is also an industrial process. They can ask you to manufacture chlorine and you'll follow just the same process, but you just change what happens now at the electrodes. Instead of presenting what happens at the cathode, you can now give us what happens at the anode. Okay? Is it okay? Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. Any other issue? Someone, Mugisha. I think Mugisha. Okay, Eric, can you say something?
Teacher,
Eric, you're on.
teacher, why is sodium amalgam written as NH stroke HG stroke
Pardon?
mercury?
Pardon?
Why,
Pardon?
teacher, why is
You
teacher, why is sodium
amalgam
amalgam written like that?
written in what?
Written like sodium slash mercury.
Very good. Now you know this is a complex, okay? And the complex contains simply sodium and mercury, okay? So we simply combine sodium and mercury. So to show that it is a complex, we put a stroke and it is in the liquid state, okay?
Yes, teacher.
So that's why we write it like that. We don't, and at all level, there is no need of giving you the complicated formula for the amalgam. So even at A level, you'll write it like that. It's just because it is a complex formed by combining sodium and mercury in their liquid state. When they combine, they form that complex. Okay?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Eric, you've been answered. Let me get maybe let me give Shafiq Bucks a chance. Yes, Bucks. When you don't know why you are answering.
Say that.
Yes, Bucks. I'm sorry, there's some background noise, but if people are about to go away, there's some finishing some issues here.
The one is over on amalgam.
Yes?
That sodium amalgam. The one in the
Yes. Bucks, can you be clear? Be a chemist. Chemists don't, they don't shy away.
Tisha, is it that sodium amalgam is in the liquid state or
Yes,
only
yes.
or amalgam only?
Now let me answer why. We are using sodium which has been formed in the molten state, okay? And this is an electrolytic cell, okay? For electrolysis to occur, we must have things in the molten state. That's why the complex is also formed in the liquid state. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay. I think members, we can go to maybe the last person, Jonathan. Wambale, Jonathan, this one. Yes, Jonathan, can you ask your question?
I'm asking, are you penalized to read the whole story minus putting any equation, whether word or
The other one.
Okay, Jonathan, that's a good question. Now, Jonathan, if you don't write any equation, remember there is where I told that when we are marking, we follow the 5 steps. The first one was the vessel chemical process involved, conversion to chemical product, or the desired product, then purification of the product which we have formed, and coherence of your procedure which you're writing. Now, when you miss out an equation, you'll miss a score on the chemical process involved, because equations are part of chemical processes. But you'll not fail, you'll lose some few marks. But we are teaching learners whom we want to get the maximum scores needed. We want you to do the best. There's a lot of time for you to master these simple equations. If they are hard, writing them in modular form, write them in words. But try, where there is an equation, write it even in words, you'll be marked. So don't fear. Jonathan, okay? Hey, thank you. The last one, I think that's now sorted. So we can go to the next basis of assessment. Okay, this has been nice. Members have. Now, the next issue we need here is the side effect. Side effect. Now, this one normally confuses you students. Let me talk about it a little. When they talk of a side effect in industrial processes, we mean the side effects of the process. Okay? The process of production. As I'm carrying out this process, as the process is being carried out, what are the side effects? But some of you, when you go, for example, when you are manufacturing like chlorine, we're extracting metals, what? Some of you like giving us side effects of the product you have formed. Now, when you give the side effect of the product you have formed, you'll have gone off. So here we want the side effect of the process. During that process of production, what happens as a side effect? And identify the side effect, explain it, and give us the mitigation procedure. Now, some of you, because you go for exams when you've not read enough, you think now the side effects are very simple. Yeah, you know like 10 of them. You reach the paper and you start writing only side effects, 20 points, and you think you are going to get marks. We want only 1 point explained and its mitigation procedure given. That is only what we want in exams. But of course, sometimes is dynamic, it keeps changing. So when we are teaching, we tell you present 2 of them, because writing 2 will not take you so long. Write 2 of them, explain. For example, you have said air pollution due to release of poisonous gases from the industry. Release of poisonous gases from the industry, which causes acid rain. This acid rain lowers the soil pH, reducing on crop yields. So you mentioned air pollution. Yeah, it is true when we are carrying out this process, there are some gases which are produced, and those gases actually pollute the air that we breathe in, and that is a side effect. Now, due to release of how does it occur, that's an explanation. You go ahead and explain the process, explain the effect, explain what happens. And then after explaining, tell us the impact that it has on the community or on you as a chemist. What's the impact? If there is pollution, which is due to release of poisonous or toxic gases from the industry into the air or into the atmosphere, what does it do? It causes acid rain. What's the impact? Acid rain will lower the soil pH. This one affects us, the farmers, reducing crop yields, which is going to affect all of us because everyone depends on food. And this can be mitigated by fitting catalytic converters that convert these gases into harmless products. When we talk of a catalytic converter, these are things which are put in industries. They convert poisonous gases to harmless ones. And that is enough. So you're going to score a 2 for identifying the side effect, score a 2 for explaining, and you also score a 2 for mitigating it. That is if marking is just like the way it was last year. But for if you now start writing only the point and you don't explain it, you only get 2 out of 6. So when you're going for this exam, paper 1, be sure of this, because you like it or not, that element of construct, you'll be assessed from it, and you'll have these 6 scores plus these 6 scores of social benefits. So 6 plus 6 give us free 12 marks. If at all you want to pass, these are things you should actually know. Social benefit provision of employment opportunities. This is an obvious point. There is no industry which will be set up in a place and does not provide employment. Where people earn income, what does employment do? It's going to make people to earn income and improve on their standards of living. And that is basically what is needed in that part. Very simple things. Very many people are putting up their hand. Maybe I'd have now three participants, now 4. As we got the next item 5, 6 on natural resources. Maybe we can give them chance. Yes, Jonah.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Be audible enough. Yes, good afternoon to you.
I was just asking if it is necessary for me to write those subtitles like social benefit.
Okay, writing those titles will actually help you yourself. But to me, when I'm scoring, whether you've written them or not, I'll know what you're answering. As long as you've numbered your question which you're answering. So, but it becomes okay for you to write because it makes your work neat. Is that okay? So it is okay to write those sub
Thank you.
edits. Yes, Arisha?
I was asking in the side effects, can I put skin burns due to sodium hydroxide in contact with the skin?
Teacher Wafla. Okay. Yes, Teacher Wafla, you can continue. Hello, Mr. Kazi. Are you able to hear me now? Because now I was unable to unmute myself. That's why I had kept quiet.
I am looking for reflection. Somebody said the teacher will see you whatever another put dictating the notes. I am looking for him.
Hello. Are you able to get me clear now? Because I don't know what was happening. Shalom, are you able to get me? Hello, are you able to get me? Please, can someone put up the hand and tell me if I'm back online? Yes, Monique. Are you able to get me now? Yes?
Yes, sir. We are able to get you.
Okay, we had finished the first element of construct. I guess there is no issue unless if there is any issue, please you will ask when I've finished going through this other item 5 and 6. Okay, so I kindly request the members who have burning issues to first allow me go through item 5, 6 before we continue, because our lesson is still going on and very interesting. There was something which had happened, and that's why we went off a little. Now, this one says the learner appreciates the existence of natural resources in the environment and their importance in daily life. The following areas are emphasized. Members, like I told you in the item 3 and 4, in item 5 and 6, this is where the items come from. Here we set from one of the natural resources is air, another one is water, rocks, and minerals. Sometimes say rocks and minerals. Carbon in the environment. Here we only look at carbon-based fuels, e.g. firewood. We have fossil fuels, trees and vegetation. You can just say trees. This is important to guide you when you're revising or preparing for an exam, to know where exactly the item will be set. And also when you're going to answer this question or item, when you're going to respond to this item, you must be able to categorize natural resources. You must be able to know that some of the natural resources are renewable, whereas others are non-renewable. You must know how to give us the meaning of renewable natural resources and the meaning of non-renewable natural resources. You must also be able to give examples in each case. What are some of the examples of renewable natural resources, and what are some of the examples of non-renewable natural resources? If all that is known, then it is going to be very easy for you to attempt this item. If all that is known, the item is going to be very simple. If you don't know how to categorize natural resources, define them or give their meaning, which is called a reason in this case, give an example in each case, you are not going to pass this item. So as we go through it, make sure all those are known. A learner is required to do the following. This one is what I've been explaining. So we go to the next thing. which is a sample item, and this was in UNEB of last year. John, maybe let me ask one member to put up the hand and read for us this item very fast. Let me put this here. We give chance to, at least we give chance to Kiza Apollo. Apollo, can you read for us the item?
John the cattle keeper raises his cattle on the community land during the
Apollo?
dry season. Sir, can't you hear
Can,
me?
pardon the statement.
John the cattle keeper grazes his cattle on community land.
Yes.
During the dry season,
Yes.
he practices farming and also takes his cattle to drink water from the community water source. John's
Yes.
practices have raised concern in the community. And now the task.
Yes.
As a learner of chemistry, make a write-up of the message the chairperson will present to the community.
Make, oh, this is. Okay, let me remove this. This. Okay. John the cattle keeper. Thank you so much for that, Apollo, and you've read it very well. Now, what is missing in this item is simply a drawing, which would have been called the support material. But I don't always, even whether the support is given to you or not, a child of your level should be able to interpret this item. They are saying John the cattle keeper grazes his cattle on community land. This is land which is used by many people. During the dry season, he practices bush burning. These are now human activity, Johnny's activities, which we call human activities, and also takes his cattle to drink water from the community water source. Johnny's practices have raised concern in the community. Johnny's practices have raised concern in the community. Now you ask yourself, which natural resource in this question is being affected? Let me start with, come on, since his hand is still up. What natural resource is being affected in this item? Yes, come on.
Yeah, I think it is vegetation and water.
Thank you so much. You had left your hand up for a long time, and so I had to select you. And the major natural resource in this question, which has been, which is being disturbed, is water. Because we can say the easy reasoning here is that all of these other ones, vegetation, cattle, I mean the land and what, all of them, the major one here is going to be water, because the animals drink water. Vegetation bases on water to grow. So this water, and also when we talk on the, when we look at the scenario, they say that during the dry season, he takes his cattle to drink water from the community water source. And these practices have raised concern in the community. His concerns, his practices have raised concern. That is members, these are the same things you're going to encounter when you get back to your schools. And if you don't take them serious, you'll see what will happen. As a learner of chemistry, make a write-up. You're going to write this as a learner of chemistry, not as a mechanic, not as what. So what you bring out here must also depict the chemistry that you have. So when we are attempting this question, then we must categorize water as a natural resource. Yes, we must categorize water as a natural resource. However, if a person also took land, would find out in which category does land lie. If at all it is in the same category as water, then you'll be okay. Otherwise, if you mix up, some of you like answering these items by saying natural resources are either renewable or non-renewable. Now that is more of making notes in class. There you'll have mixed up things, and those are actually notes. They are not, you are not attempting an item. Okay, Mugisha, can you say something? Mugisha?
Okay, so thank you so much. Here, in this item, we have said that the major natural resource is water. But what I'm asking, for example, if I read the scenario and that scenario tries to confuse me, I identify like the air as a natural resource. For example, because of bush burning, the natural resource, which is the air, will also be affected. If I identify air and I talk about it, can I get marks also?
Okay, Mugisha. Now, let me also ask this. Is under which category does air fall? Is it in the same category as water? When we are categorizing those resources? Yes, if it is the same, because remember your answer, the first max scoring point is going to go on the category, which you are going to tell us that what you're going to tell us that renewable natural resource, for example, renewable natural resource. Then you give us the reason of a renewable natural resource. You're going to define for us the renewable natural resources, not so? Now,
Yes.
what makes us think that you've written about water, air, or anything is what you give in your example. Okay? Now, if you give us example as your example as air, you are going to be marked correct, because air is actually a renewable natural resource and has been affected in the item. That is if it has been affected, because when you talk of bush burning as a human activity, it actually affects air. So you will be marked correct. Depending on it. So the category is what is very, very important. And the example you mentioned, the example should be part of what is in the item. Okay? The example should be part of what is in the item. And the category should match your example. If the two are different, they are not matching, then you lose all the scores. Okay, thank you. Let me get a question from Susie. Susie, can you say something?
Okay, teacher. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, I was asking if in that scenario, maybe they're talking about air and then water. You have to only choose one and you talk about it all throughout.
I advise you to choose one and talk about it all throughout to avoid confusion. However, if they are all under the same category, you can put both in the example. But remember, the example, you will want only one example. So you put two, you are just adding work for yourself or nothing. So give us one example, and then you continue with that one up to the end of that item. Hope you are helped there.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's hear from let me first remove this. I don't know who's doing that, but it's okay. Now there is Alan here. Alan. Can you say something? Oh, yes, Alan.
My concern is they have told us that these practices. So
can you? You're not clear. You're not clear. Please. Can you talk? Can you talk now?
My concern is
yes.
if you are telling us only choose like one of the practices is given in answer in response of our task. but now they have given us many. So why are we sticking to one?
I don't know if people, other people are getting you clearly, but I don't know what is happening to your network. Your network is not clear. I'm not getting you well. Maybe you. But as if I got something to do with the, we are given very many natural resources. Why do we choose one? We are given this item 5 and 6. One item will be talking about, one item will be a renewable natural resource, and another item will be a non-renewable natural resource. So they simply want you to give your meaning, whether you can really understand the element of construct, which I read for you. Can you appreciate the existence of natural resources? Can you categorize them? So if you understand the difference between them, then you cannot fail to, excuse me, you can't fail to continue with the selecting one, because here, when you look at land, it's the same category with air, same category with vegetation, same category with water. You can just see that they are all renewable. Therefore, yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
What if I don't mention like, and I say that John practices affect the air, land, and water, which are natural renewable resources?
I'm going to when I'm going to guide you now to write your your response here. When you're writing the response, we are looking for 3 things. Okay?
Yes.
The first thing is the category. So for you, mixing, you're bringing the category by bringing a lot of words. For the examiner is only looking for that category, which is the renewable natural resource. Can you write it? That renewable natural resource. Put a comma like here and tell us the meaning of that renewable natural resource. Put a comma and give me the example of a renewable natural resource. A renewable natural resource. Put a comma, give us the example. Whether you give us 10 examples, now for us we shall look for one. If you mix the wrong ones and correct ones, you know the impact. That's why I say identify one, which you know very well, and keep quiet. Writing many will not add you scores. So there you choose basic, because I'm looking at a run writing, renewable natural resource. Maybe then you give the meaning. These are resources that can be replenished, or that they can replenish themselves within the man's lifetime by natural processes, or they can be replaced easily after being used up. For example, you give us now an example. For if you choose to give us 10 examples or 5, you'll mix the wrong ones and the correct ones, and you not like the repercussion. Okay? The last person is Shina. Yes, Shina?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Chami here. I'm confused in the question. So now if I try it right up here, are we going to talk about the dangers or the
Okay, now
benefits?
check
Or talk
my...
about the dangers and the implications?
Okay, Monica, now we just check on the next slide, okay?
Okay,
You
teacher.
just check on the next slide and you take a screenshot. And actually after that screenshot, I will just request that one person prays for us and we end this lesson, because I'm coughing and yet I'm not supposed to cough during a lesson. Have you seen here the first basis of assessment? Renewable natural resource are resources that can be replaced once used up, e.g. water. I've finished that one. That part is finished. Composition. Water contains hydrogen, oxygen, minerals. So the example you mentioned, you must be able to explain its composition, what it is made up of. Water contains hydrogen, oxygen, minerals like phosphates. So when you give us air, you must be able to explain what air is made up of. If you give us land, you must give us the composition of land, as long as it is under these renewable natural resources. Is that okay?
Yes, teacher.
As simple as that. This is the simplest item, and you shall not really spend a lot of time here. Impact. You give the impact of a human activity on the natural resource. Cattle keeping, where animals deposit wastes into water sources, causing water pollution. That is an impact. Explain. These wastes can change the color, taste, and mineral content of the water. This can be mitigated by converting wastes into organic fertilizers. Yeah, as simple as that. So you have 3 points here. The human activity identified, human activity explained, and then mitigation of that problem. As simple as that. There is nothing much in this item 5 and 6. So
Okay.
I want to agree that when we study a lot, again, we shall confuse the little we've learned. And therefore, I request that we shall discuss more when we meet next time. May I request you, Monica, who is already on, to pray for us, and we close the session.
Okay, teacher. Humble yourselves for the word of prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for what you have taken us through this lesson. We thank you for our teacher, whom you have provided with the knowledge and wisdom to teach us. Father, please, we pray to may what we have learned keep in our heads and still giving us wisdom. Keep us safe until we come for the next lesson. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I have prayed and believed.
Amen. Thank you so much for that wonderful prayer. My WhatsApp number, like I said, is 778105947. You can ask. But remember, we have a seminar like Kaziba posted. You keep checking on that, and you follow us up for the seminar.
So
And
can you please
also
repeat the WhatsApp number?
778105947. Now, this
Okay.
item here, you take a screenshot and try it out in your free time. And maybe you can share the answers on WhatsApp and go through. Thank you so much for being good students. I wish you a nice evening.
Thank you, teacher. Good.
Asante sana.